Good evening, good afternoon, good evening. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I am standing in temporarily for our board chair, Paul Stahl, who is running a little bit late due to the traffic. So we can begin with a roll call. Can you help us with that, Nicholas?
Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. The time is 4:53, and those in attendance are Jean Brady.
Here.
Joanne Harris.
Here.
Josie Martinez.
Here.
Andreas Sanchez-Muniz.
Here.
Norma Montalvo is absent. Fernanda Cardenas.
Here.
Jaspreet Kaur.
Here.
Marcy Ince.
Here.
Beth Graham.
Here.
Judy Cruz is absent, and Paul Stahl is absent as well. Vice Chair Kaur, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's begin with a silent meditation, and I'll ask you all to bring your focus to the work that we have ahead of us this evening. Thank you. Next, we'll move to the approval of minutes. The minutes were sent out in advance in your packet, and they should also be in your packet there in front of you. And I will entertain a motion for approval. Thank you. I heard a first from Beth and a second from Joanne. Did I get that correct? No, I'm sorry. Josie. Thank you, Josie. Can you take us through a roll call vote?
Brady. Joanne Harris. Josie Martinez. Andreas Sanchez-Muniz. Norma Montalvo is absent. Fernanda Cardenas. Marcy Ince. Beth Graham.
Aye.
Jaspreet Kaur.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, we have a moment in the agenda for public comments. I do not believe anyone has signed up, but I'm going to check with Sydney to see if there is anyone else. Okay, thank you, Sydney. And in the interest of time today, since we do have a celebration immediately following this meeting, we are going to forego our usual reports from the chair and trustees for since their last board meeting. I do want to note a reminder to all trustees, today's meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, so please turn your microphones on when you speak so the audience online can hear you. And next, we will move to a report from the library director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My report will be very brief. In your packets, it's a written report, the Library Director's report. I'm happy to respond to any questions at this time. Also, in front of you or next to you, you have a little bag with a special gift from your library. They're special glasses for the upcoming eclipse on October 14th. That concludes my remarks, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the budget report for August 2023. There is a written report in the packet, but I want to just see if trustees have any questions regarding the budget report, as we are expediting the agenda, but I see Gabriella is here and can answer questions if needed. No questions, okay. So next, we are going to be discussing items 19 and 20 on the agenda. For this, we will be entering into executive session. So I will be asking members of the public that are here to exit the auditorium for the duration of this discussion, and then we'll come back into normal session and proceed with all of the other items on the agenda.
Huh? Y'all need to stay on them about this county thing. I hope you will. What are the forums that you're watching with the Northeast School Board? With the teachers? Is it the librarians or what?
Okay, welcome back. The Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library has completed its executive session on this 27th day of September 2023 at 5:43 p.m. The Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library will now resume its open session. No action was taken. Moving on to item 19 was an information item, and no action was taken. Item number 20 is an action item, but no action will be taken on that item. We'll move on to item number 6, report from the Executive Committee. We met on September 19th to set this agenda. And in the interest of time, the Facilities Committee, the Naming Committee, the Public Relations and Advocacy Committee, and the Ad Hoc Board Policy Committee did not meet during this reporting period, but the ILA Ad Hoc Committee did meet, and that was on September 19th. The Budget Committee did not meet. However, Assistant Director Kathy Donnellan will deliver a final update on the FY 2024 adopted budget. Kathy?
Much. We did it. You have a new approved budget for the library system. Thank you, Board of Trustees, for all the support for the library system. So I'm pleased to tell you that our general fund adopted budget increased by 9%. So I think that's a pretty good increase. I'll just very briefly go through some of the highlights. Of course, you're aware that the council was very interested in an expansion of our enhanced library card program. So now that's an improvement in our budget, and we'll implement customers being able to register for the enhanced library card, which of course is an optional card, at every branch location and central. The cards will still be produced at Central and mailed to the customer then afterward. We also got capital outlay funding, which is really very important to keep our furniture, fixtures, and equipment up to date, in an amount of over $400,000. $416,000 was added to our recurring budget for books and materials, and that is the incremental increase in the county's payment to us. So that increase was used to supplement the book budget. There's a one-time addition of $125,000 to refresh the collection at Las Palmas Branch Library in anticipation of the opening. So this was really wonderful that the team advocated for that. The city manager was supportive and the council approved it, because we definitely learned in opening these wonderful improved branches, Forest Hills, McCreeless, Memorial, that we need to refresh our collections too. So there's lots of good high interest and new materials on the shelves. Also, we're going to be able to replace end-of-life computers, and it's over 400 of them in fiscal year 24. That's $1 million. So we always replace public-facing computers with a goal of every 4 years, because they're really high use. And then that complement does include needed staff computers and computers that are in service areas like the circulation desk, the OPACs, and those types as well. Let's see. And then just very briefly, we had 8 capital and deferred maintenance projects added to the budget. So the total was $5.7 million. So we're very excited about that. I'll just read off the names of them. But you have an email, and of course these will go on the construction report for October, so you'll be able to follow along with our progress on these. But we have a refresh at the Sims Branch Library for some improvements. We have a refresh at the Johnston Branch Library for some improvements. And then we have HVAC projects at Bazan, Maverick, Cody, Sims. Cody, Collins Garden. And then we also have a remediation project of the HVAC at Landa, We've had some issues with that system, so we're going to go back in and address those. And then we have two other projects that are kind of more specific. You might be aware that at the Sims Branch Library, we have some ongoing issues with settling of the patio at the back of the building. So that will be addressed with a project. And then also the Igo Branch Library, we have the wonderful windmill there, which is public art, and it's also supposed to power a water circulation system, but it hasn't for quite some while. And so we have a project to look at that and get that going, as well as some more minor foundation repairs around the building. So quite a bit of improvements for our buildings. And then we were able to advocate and get approved removal of a fee for our customers. So as you know, it's been a very big focus to reduce barriers to access for the customers. A big part of that was going fine-free, which we've done. So we still, of course, if somebody loses a book, so we give you, a very generous amount of time to return it. We give you a generous amount of time on top of that. But then if it's not coming back, we say, hey, we're considering this lost, and so you'll need to pay the replacement cost of that material. And in a very gentle way, we follow up with customers and prompt them to either return it or we'll have to charge you for the lost book. In the past, what we've done is we've referred that account to collections and to materials recovery, and we've passed along a charge to the customer for that. It was a $10 fee. So we were able to get it approved to remove that fee. So we figure, why make it even harder? So we won't have that, what we call the collection fee anymore. So that will no longer be part of what we do. So I think that's it. There were some very significant compensation and benefit improvements in the budget that was approved. So I'll just mention the two biggest ones. One is a 4% increase for all civilian employees, part-time and full-time. And then there was an adjustment up of the city's entry wage. And to make some adjustments on that basis too. So there's quite a number of compensation and benefits improvements in the budget. So with that, I'll ask if you have any questions.
A question. I just wanted to commend you and the team because I tried to follow along as much as possible, and I think after having such a hot summer and still a hot fall probably, I think the council really saw the need for these buildings and their HVAC systems to be upgraded because people are literally going there for relief because homes aren't insulated correctly or have the correct windows. And so I think that was a big thing this past summer. So, but I commend you on all these things because, it's really amazing. So.
So there was a Saturday meeting with the city manager to go over all the proposed projects the departments had and to kind of vet the numbers and talk about scope and all those things. Ramiro and I were there bright and early on a Saturday morning, but we had done so much prep work and talked about being cooling sites and worked with the budget department, worked with Mr. McCary's support. There were some other departments that got a little bit grilled, but there was not a single question on our projects. So we saw some looks of envy from some of the other department directors, but it just went through because, you all and Mr. McCary and others have made the case where cooling sites is very important. We got to keep these systems up to date. So.
I'll add to that. Yet again, another year where it's very clear that we have, the support of the City Council, and that's complete direct reflection of how the board conducts itself, I believe, and how the staff certainly is prepared, is Krispy Kreme on all the facts all the time. We make our cases for the services that need to be modified, extended, expanded, and it's just such a well-run ship that I think, from my limited vantage point, that, City Council sees it as a safe bet, that money is going to be used properly to the benefit of as many citizens and constituents as possible, and that the services offered are going to be a bullseye because they weren't just pulled out of a hat. They've been studied and verified and validated. So, I mean, really, I see just so much of this credit clearly to the staff and the great work that y'all continue to do. So I thank all of you that spend so much time on making sure that this that we would get the outcome that we did receive. You just have my continued admiration for the work that y'all do. So thank you so much. I think the people that are going to benefit the most are the people that we're here to represent, which is our constituents. So it's wonderful. It's a good outcome. We'll have another round of applause, I think, to the staff. So
Thank you so
Great.
much. I just wanted to say thank you also to Marcy and Joanne for being on the budget committee and providing lots of really good feedback and insight, and also echo what Paul just said, both to Mr. McCary, who's here, as well as to Kathy, you and your staff, because I know there's a lot of people behind the scenes that pull together lots of numbers and lots of requests that we ask you for. So thank you so much. I hope you get a well-deserved break, but not too long of a break, but a little break.
questions, comments before we move on? Okay, thank you, Kathy. Next is the nominating committee. Andrea, I believe you have a report. Have y'all been doing some work?
A lot of work. So the committee met on September 18th and the 22nd, and a memo was transmitted with the slate of officers that was sent to the board on September 22nd. And the election of our officers is on the agenda and will come up on item 21. I know we're out of order a bit, but 21.
Andrea. We'll move on to item number 14, a report from the Friends of the San Antonio Public Library. John, welcome.
Good afternoon, trustees. In the effort to keep this short, I will be very brief. We had a strategic planning session on September 16th. That was one of the recommendations from the report from MJ Gomez and Associates. And the focus of that session was to come up with a mission statement for the Friends. We came up with 6 mission statements, so now we have the real task of whittling it down to 2 or 3 of which we can choose from that. But it was a very positive meeting, and also thank you, Josie, for attending and giving your support to that. It made a big difference. A lot of the Friends appreciate that. So, the Arts and Letters Awards has extended its deadline to get some more nominations in, so we have until the end of the month. So if you haven't, please make sure you go to the Friends of SAPL.org and make your nominations there. And reminder that the ceremony will be on November 12th at the Mission Branch. So that's all we have. Thanks.
Have any questions for John, who always looks like he just got out of vacation? Jealous? Thank you, John. Move on to item number 15, a report from the San Antonio Library Foundation. And hello, Jessica. We have Jessica Rivera here who will give this report on behalf of Amy.
Good afternoon. We have a busy piece of Library Foundation this fall. Bookmark the Town continues to be very successful. Most of the papers have been at the office. We're having a few pickups at several branches that are available.
So please make sure that you are posting, liking, and sharing anything about Bookmark the Town on social media. Also make sure that you send photos to us with your signs. If you don't share the photo with us, make sure that you're using the hashtag BookmarkSA so that we're able to see those signs in your yards. Simultaneously, we've also been working on Katrina Ball. Table sales are moving along. We need to sell about 10 more tables. So please make sure that you're sharing that invitation with your friends to help us make this a successful event. As you know, the more funds we raise for Katrina Ball, the bigger the gift is to the SAPL library, SAPL, sorry. So your help is greatly appreciated with that. Just as you guys, we have been working on our budget. The process is still ongoing for us. Executive committee will meet and approve the budget and determine the 2023 annual library gift at the October 11 meeting. So I'm sure Amy will get with Ramiro and I will get with Jessica and we can discuss that. And then our nominating committee
has completed the process for the 2024 board slate, and we have 10 excellent candidates. So if approved at the November 15 meeting, our board will be growing to 45. And then lastly, our Literacy Caravan program has kicked off the 2023-2024 school year with 12 new schools. All is going really well with that program. If you'd like to join us to observe, we recommend that you join us November, December. We have partnered with a partnership with Paws for Hearts, and so they will have their reading therapy dogs there those 2 months. Our visits are usually scheduled Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so the therapy dogs will be there for all 12 visits, November, December. So if you are interested in joining us, just send Amy an email and let her know. That's all I've got.
Questions for Jessica? Now is time to ask her very difficult questions. Anyone prepared with? Thank you very much, Jessica. Moving on to item number 16, staff report, to receive an update on the library's partnership with Launch SA, a City of San Antonio entrepreneur and small business center that is located here in the Central Library. This is an information item. Hello, Haley.
I'm Haley Holmes, the Public Services Administrator for the Central Library. You may have noticed a recent City Council action that's related to the Central Library, and that was the recommendation that was accepted for Geekdom to take over the management and operation of Launch SA. So we thought this was a great opportunity to either remind you or make you aware of the partnership that we have here at Central. So a little background, Launch SA is an entrepreneur and small business center located on the first floor of the Central Library. This is a partnership between the City of San Antonio's Economic Development Department, the library, and now Geekdom. The previous operator was Lift Fund. So this was originally conceived in 2012 through a task force that was convened by Mayor Castro. And at that time, it was called Cafe Commerce. It opened at the Central Library in 2014, and then in 2016, it was rebranded as Launch SA. The original operator was Accion Texas. They rebranded themselves to Lift Fund, and now starting October 1st, Geekdom will be the operator of Launch SA. Launch SA also houses the Women's Business Center, SCORE San Antonio, and the City of San Antonio's Small Business Liaison. So there are a lot of resources located in Launch SA. And I want to recognize their impact, the impact that they've had over the last years. They've documented over 1,400 walk-ins. They've hosted 5,600 events, and they've assisted more than 37 clients. So they're making a real difference in the small business community in San Antonio. They've surveyed their clients, and those clients have reported a 64% increase in sales. They've secured $4.5 million in investments, and they've generated over 1,000 jobs in San Antonio. They're currently seeking a new director for the space, so I'm really excited to meet that person and to partner with them further. You may recall, or you may not, that they used to have 2 spaces at the Central Library across from one another on the first floor. Before 2020, just before 2020, we had talked with Economic Development about how the space to the left, they were called phases 1 and 2, and I can never remember which one was which, but that it was underutilized. We really didn't see folks in that space, and so we asked, would it be possible for the library to take that space back? And since then, it's been used for a variety of purposes. During COVID, when we were closed, the Department of Human Services and Neighborhood Housing Services Department were able to use that space for COVID relief and rent assistance. And then when the library reopened, we were under construction. So we only had services available on the first floor, and we used that as our interim space for the library. Now it is our Texana interim space. So that all worked out really well for us, and that we've been able to use that for a lot of different reasons. And once Texana is out of there, I have ideas about what it might become next. So now Launch SA is just on the right-hand side when you're facing the elevators, and it will stay in that space going forward. They Economic Development has received some ARPA funding, so they do have plans to update the space, including fixtures, furniture, equipment, technology. And right now, they're not talking about any structural changes to the space, but if they were to make some decisions like that, of course, we would come to you, the Facilities Committee of the board, and then to the board to get your approval, since it's within the library. I'll be part of the planning process with EDD and with the Public Works Department, so we should be aware of everything that's happening in this space. And I saw that they are planning a re-grand opening in early 2024. So it is going to remain Launch SA right now, but operated by Geekdom. I don't know if they have any plans to change the name of it, but that's what I've been told for now. And I found out a lot about Launch SA on their website, so I would encourage you, if you're interested to know more about what they do, launchsa.org is their website. Any questions?
Not about Launch SA, but are the Texana genealogy services available only by appointment, or is it walk-in?
They're open for walk-in. They are open Tuesday through Saturday. And Heather Ferguson, the collection manager, did an excellent job of trying to bring downstairs the most used resources. So they are really able to help folks in that space. And they're doing a variety of things, including the walk-in help. They have computers that people can use to access the genealogy resources, just like they could on the 6th floor. But they're also doing a lot of programming. So they're doing classes, and we have people coming back and coming into the space. And that team also goes out to the branches and does a lot of programming there as well.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Haley? Okay, Haley, thank you very much. That was item number 16. We'll move on to item number 17, review and consider approval of the proposed Library Board of Trustees meeting schedule for fiscal year 2024 and take appropriate action.
Good afternoon. In your packet, you will find the proposed meeting schedule for the San Antonio Public Library Board of Trustees for fiscal year 2024, and it is also on the screen for your information. We are this year proposing 4 meetings be held at a branch library location, and those months are January, March, May, and July. Those 4 months, we're proposing a branch library host the board for the board meeting, and the other months, the meeting would take place here at the Central Library. I'm available if you have any questions.
One quick question, this is just a reminder because I don't remember for past years. The order of the branches, does it take into account when we last met at that branch?
It takes into account several factors. That includes when the board last met at that location, whether or not the library location will be undergoing any renovations, which may impact the ability to be open and host a board meeting, the same as serving as a VITA, volunteer income tax assistance location, a voting or election day or early voting site. So there are many factors that we consider when developing this slate. I can share that the Great Northwest Branch Library last held a board meeting in 2013. The McCreelis in 2017, Forest Hills in 2017, and Guerra in 2014.
On our end. No.
That is incorrect. Yep, that is correct. Yep.
So then we won't be meeting at Great Northwest?
That is correct.
So what you have in your packet is the accurate one, right?
My apologies. What you have in your packet is accurate, so I'm going to do this.
So
In your packet, in purple paper, is the correct schedule. Great Northwest will be undergoing renovation, which is why we could not host them upon for the review, right? So let me start that again.
Okay. I'm assuming Garata. I'll make a motion that...
January 2024 is Encino, for the record. March 2024 is Macrelis. May 2024 is Forest Hills. And July 2024 is the Mission Branch Library.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposed schedule on the purple sheet in front
On
of
the
us.
purple sheet.
On the purple sheet.
We have a motion, we have a second. Judy, was that you? Judy, was that you? Second? Very good. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion before we vote? Okay. Nicholas, if you could take us through a roll call vote, please.
Jean Brady,
Aye.
Joanne Harris, Josie Martinez, Andrea Sanchez Muniz,
Aye.
Norma Montalvo, Fernanda Cardenas,
Aye.
Preet Kaur,
Aye.
Marcy Ince, Beth Graham,
Aye.
Judy Cruz, Paul Stahl.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, we have item number 18, review and consider approval of the proposed San Antonio Public Library's holiday and closure schedule for fiscal year 2024 and take appropriate action.
Now I'm a little nervous. So let's see the next slide. So you do have this as well in your packet. And I have it. No wonder I'm, okay. So obviously no one can read that, so, but that's just confirming it's what you have in your packet, right? So I'm going to talk about this in two sections, right? As you will recall, last year the staff proposed and you, the trustees, approved having increased training opportunities for staff. We're recommending including that and continuing it in this new fiscal year. That would be 3 half-days, again, just like we did last year, and with an all-staff day on February 19th. So those dates are there. The libraries would open at 2 p.m. on those days and close at their regular times. There was some discussion about being open or having the staff day be in the afternoon, but of course asking people to leave is much more difficult than opening late. I want to just say that the City Council approves the holidays, which are days employees are paid, right, and not working. We follow those same holidays. Then we look at our 7-day-a-week schedule, and we're proposing some alternate days, so we would be closed on slightly different days, and this, of course, is perfectly normal. We are also suggesting closing for the all-staff day that we just mentioned, and then the 3 half-days. What I'm going to just talk about is a little bit, I'm just going to walk through what you have there on the schedule in case you have any questions. I will also say that this is 2 more closed days than we've been closed for the past few years. Those extra days are the all-staff day, and then we're suggesting 1 additional day at Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So the differences are that we're suggesting observing Veterans Day on Veterans Day, November 11th, where other city departments will observe it on Friday rather than Saturday. We just think, in San Antonio especially, it would be entirely inappropriate for us to be open on Veterans Day. So that's the kind of decisions that we make here. We're suggesting being closed on Sunday, Christmas Eve, which of course the city doesn't take that into account. And then following the city calendar for being closed on Christmas Day and the winter holiday, which is Tuesday, December 26th. The city does not observe this year New Year's Eve as a holiday, and typically they don't, but we're suggesting that we're closed that day, which is something we've had most years in the past. And then we would observe, of course, New Year's Day as a holiday. Then I'm going to skip down to, and the last one I will mention, we have traditionally been closed on Easter Day. It's not a holiday. Employees are not paid, but it is a closed day. And we would do that this year as well. That just happens to be the day before Cesar Chavez's birthday, so is observed. So we thought a lot about that because we could just be closed a one day, right? We could just be closed on Easter and be open on Monday when the rest of the city would be observing Cesar Chavez's birthday. Our recommendation to you is to have the two closed days together. I don't think this happens again, at least not in the foreseeable lifetime of at least me. so that is our recommendation. Of course, this is an action item for you to set the closure and holiday schedule for the staff, but I'm happy to respond to any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Dale. As y'all are reviewing those, any questions for Dale? Beth?
Oh, I'm sorry,
You're looking at the purple one, right? Okay. There's another one in there? Gotcha. Questions, comments, motions? I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Chavez Day? I mean, have we been celebrating this? I mean, I don't remember us being closed before on that.
Sure, and you know what? I was anticipating that question, so I have it right here. So in 2021, so fiscal year 21, the city added Juneteenth as a holiday, and in fiscal year 22, the city added Cesar Chavez's birthday as a holiday. So last year, 2023, we had both those holidays for the second year. So then this year would be the third year the city has both of those holidays.
Asked before, probably a year ago when we adopted the last one, but which holidays, are there paid holidays?
The number of paid holidays is exactly the same. And like with Veterans Day, where we're just opting to observe it on a different day, that's a paid holiday. Easter is unpaid, so that's the primary unpaid. We try to have as few of those closed but not paid days as possible. I don't have that list right here in front of me. Let me, but I think Easter is the primary one. Is there another one this year? Wait, I'm looking for someone who's not here. So, but we try to have as few as possible. But as soon as, so tomorrow, if you approve this calendar tonight, tomorrow we share it with the managers, and then we talk with them about how to let their staff know and schedule. So the idea is that no employee should have to go without being paid, because they can just work on different days that week. Mm-hmm.
I'll make a motion to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2024 holiday and closure schedule for the San Antonio Public Library.
Second.
I were just commenting that the March 31st and April 1st, it just feels like a long stretch, an abnormally long stretch for us to be closed. And school is in session during that time, so that was more of an observation. Recognizing, Dale, that you mentioned this is like kind of a once in a lifetime occurrence, once in Dale's lifetime. So,
I didn't look too far ahead, but I did look to see, like, is this going to happen often? And of course it isn't.
Dale, do you know, like, or maybe one of the folks that works in the school system would know, do schools observe Cesar Chavez Day? Like as a day off?
I know our district does not, but our district does get Easter Monday, which is the exact same day.
This year, right.
This year, but due to poor attendance, that's usually a day off.
That was another thing we were considering. I'm trying to be brief, but that was another thing we were considering, is that culturally in San Antonio, Easter Monday is essentially a holiday that may or may not be observed. Like your school district may or may not be in school, but a lot of people aren't. Of course, very seldom would we be able to observe Easter Monday. That was really part of our thinking as to why we thought those 2 days together is what we would recommend.
I look into each of your eyes to see if you're holding back or if you're ready. Great. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. We've concluded our discussion on it. Nicholas, if you could please take us through a roll call vote.
Jean Brady. Joanne Harris. Josie Martinez. Andreas Sanchez Muniz.
Aye.
Norma Montalvo is absent. Fernanda Cardenas. Jaspreet Kaur.
Aye.
Marcy Ince. Beth Graham.
Aye.
Judy Cruz. Paul Stahl.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you, and thank you, Dale, for the appropriate amount of detail without going too long. Perfect. Our final item, item number 21, election of the San Antonio Public Library Board of Trustees officers for fiscal year 2024 in accordance with the Library Board of Trustees bylaws. This is an action item led by Andrea.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the nominating committee submits the following nominations. For Chair, Jaspreet Kaur. Did I say that right? For Vice Chair, Joanne Harris. For Secretary, Judy Cruz. And for Treasurer, myself, Andrea Sanchez Muniz.
Nominating committee, once again, just great work. Y'all have consistently assisted with making sure that this process goes smoothly and that everybody is polled and everyone has good opportunity to express their desires for where they'd like to be. So I appreciate your hard work on that. We will take each position one at a time. I've done this a few times, and each time it seems a little clunky, but I'm going to work through this. So for chair, Jaspreet Kaur is nominated by the nominating committee. Are there any further nominations for chair? Back to where I look in each of everybody's eyes. Are there any further nominations? If not, nominations are closed. For vice chair, Joanne Harris is nominated by the nominating committee. Are there any further nominations for vice chair? Any further nominations? Nominations are closed. For secretary, Judy Cruz is nominated by the nominating committee. Are there any further nominations for secretary? Any further nominations? Nominations are now closed. For treasurer, Andrea Sanchez Muniz is nominated by the nominating committee. Are there any further nominations for treasurer? Any further nominations? If not, nominations are closed. So we take this all as one. So as many are in favor of Jaspreet Kaur for chair, Joanne Harris for vice chair, Judy Cruz for secretary, and Andrea Sanchez Muniz as treasurer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great, the ayes have it. Those nominated are now elected. Congratulations, everyone.
Paul, how long have you been chair?
I don't know. I think 7. I'm sorry, did you ask how long did it feel like?
I think so.
How long?
Can I just add, I didn't
7
get to
years?
thank my committee, but the ladies to my left did an amazing job helping me through a new process that we tried, but they were amazing. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with them.
Yeah, so I want, Nicholas, I want the minutes to reflect that I was late, but I was here. I didn't miss my last meeting as chair. I'll just take a very quick moment of personal privilege to, number one, congratulate the new executive board. I certainly aren't going to cry, but I feel a certain type of emotion here. I'm not sure why. It's really just, I feel so good about the slate that's been elected. You know, there's experience on there. There's not a fear to voice a contrary opinion on there, which I think some of our departing board members might find nice to know, that there are contrarian opinions that can be voiced on this board and be supported. So I'm just very, very pleased. It's been an incredible honor to lead you for 7 apparently short years. It's gone by extremely fast, and it's been a great honor for me. And thank you, Jaspreet, for being by my side and supporting and learning. I know whenever someone gets tapped to, hey, you really ought to consider being chair. I think always the answer is always the same. I don't have the time, and I don't know what to say, and I don't know Robert's Rules of Order, and I don't know, and I'm not sure, all those crazy doubts that creep into our minds because we're human. I have no doubt that Jaspreet's going to lead this board with such poise and compassion and intelligence and just all the wonderful words that would go along with someone of her character and her capabilities. So I'm very glad that I'll be able to continue to serve as previous chair and to be there if necessary. Today is the last meeting for someone on our board. It's Jean Brady. She's the past board chair. It's been a while, but it's the past board chair, and until recently, the immediate past chair. Hard to believe that we've served together as long as we have. You longer than me, slightly longer than me. 20 years of that's an incredible legacy of leadership and service. Don't worry, I'm going to keep this short, Jean. I understand your dictate on this, but if we look in the audience, I see some friendly faces from the not so distant past. I won't date anybody, but Don Counts, it's great to see you. It's been a while. Elda Flores, I don't remember. I think we saw each other at some event here recently. John Nicholas, another past board chair. And last but certainly not least, Laura Devlin-Eckler, I see you back there. I know you're not here to see me off. I know why you're here. But I will say that I think we should all be honored with y'all's presence. All of you served very distinguished in very distinguished capacities on this board for long periods of time as well. So to have you with us here is certainly an honor. And we'll be gathering immediately after this meeting in the gallery next door to honor Jean for your contributions. Once again, a tremendous legacy of service and leadership. I'm taking this moment, Jean, not to embarrass you, but to make sure it's on the record, that you know how much and how deeply the gratitude and the respect and admiration on this board goes for you, because you have shown up every board meeting and every capacity that you've served on this board. You've shown up authentically you know. I just want to say that I thank you very much for your service, Jean. It's been an absolute honor to follow, certainly not to fill your footsteps, but to try to follow in them. And I'll end as I started. The reason I am so confident in the future leadership of this board is because of the foundation that has been set, and not just by you, those before you as well, Mr. John, Nicholas. Once again, I thank you for your service. I know we are all have much gratitude for you for spending as much of your life as you have to improve literacy in the city of San Antonio by serving on this board. So thank you very much, Jean. And we'll be going next door, as I said, but I think it'd be fitting for us to give you a nice round of applause here.
Okay, so
Exactly what.
you knew I was going to get the last word, right?
We get our marching orders now.
So I can't thank you all enough for all of it. I've had a great time most of the time. Like Paul said, it's a great experience. You meet people that would have never crossed my path ever. And I'm so grateful for that because I have so many new friends. And it wasn't me who did a lot of things, it was a board. It was the team. And I thank Paul for, after a couple of lunches, and I think Don Counts had to take me 2 or 3 times before we agreed to do this, thank Paul for all his leadership and what he's done, and many board members who aren't here. I have to tell you that, you know, I tried to get out of being chair some of those years, but there were a couple ladies, and I have to mention them because they were such good people, Lois Ince and Gloria Malone, who were on my executive committee until, I think, pretty many of the years. I kept saying, you know, it's you ladies, one of you all needs to take over this chair thing. And they just kept saying no. And I think it was because they could sit and boss me and tell me what to do. And if you knew them, they were doing it, trust me. But they were by my side constantly. They never criticized me, except occasionally I might get a telephone call from Gloria, and once or twice down in the parking lot, Lois got me a couple of times. But anyway, it's been a great experience. I've loved it. I'm going to leave you with some advice. I think I've trained you all pretty well. I will take credit for the training. And so I got some good advice. The first was from a good friend of mine, Chico Newman, who heads the Newman Foundation, and I learned a lot from him. He said, you need to always show up. So that's my first bit of advice. My second bit of advice came from David. I just dropped. Carpenter, yeah. David Carpenter, District 10 councilman, and he represented District 10 on this board. And David said, when you show up, sit on the front row, Jean. So I'm telling you, those are the two things that I would tell you. And the third one I would ask would be my own advice to you, and that's to listen. Listen to people. Thank you again. It's been a great pleasure to be here. I wish my person good luck. Y'all have a lot ahead of you. I'm happy to advise. So thanks for being here, and good luck.
So, my last time to do this, I'll entertain any motions for adjournment. So moved. And a second. And then the last time for this. Let's retire next door to the gallery.